Hey everybody, welcome to the Vertical MRO Podcast. I'm your host, Val Medved, and today we're excited to introduce Tristan Beddoe, a seasoned professional with nearly 2 decades of experience in the aerospace industry. Tristan has made a significant career transition, moving from his role as VP of Sales and Marketing at HeliCASTS to become an educator at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology, or SAIT. At SAIT, Tristan specializes in helicopter maintenance, bringing his wealth of industry knowledge to the classroom. His unique background combines extensive sales experience with technical expertise, allowing him to offer students a comprehensive understanding of the aerospace sector. Tristan's teaching philosophy centers on practical, hands-on learning, aligning perfectly with SAIT's educational approach. He integrates real-world sales insights into the technical curriculum, ensuring students graduate with both technical proficiency and commercial acumen. That's a mouthful. Tristan's expertise extends to the various aspects of the helicopter industry, including leasing, sales, engineering, and maintenance, repair and overhaul. MRO, baby. His experience with different aircraft include Bell, Sikorsky, Leonardo, and many others, and provides him with a broad perspective of the industry. We look forward to hearing Tristan's insights on the latest trends in helicopter maintenance, the integration of new technologies in aerospace education, and how his experience in shaping the next generation of aerospace professionals are taking place. I'm Val. This is MRO. Let's get this started. Special thanks to our sponsors for this podcast, Bell, Vertical Aviation International, and Rotorcraft Repair and Manufacturing.
Welcome to the Vertical MRO Podcast, brought to you by Vertical HeliCASTS.
All right, everyone, your radar contact, you're cleared to the Bravo.
The Vertical MRO Podcast explores the fascinating world of helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul with your host, Val Medved.
Now, line altimeter 3029, approved as requested.
The podcast features helicopter technicians, mechanics, engineers, and MRO experts who share invaluable industry insight, knowledge, and stories that will inspire current and aspiring industry maintainers.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Vertical MRO. I'm Val. It's been a minute since I've been back on the mic, but I've been kind of a little busy. Some changes were happening, all in the good direction. And I'm proud to say that I'm back on the mic here. Quickly before we kind of get this rolling here, in case you haven't heard, there's a big announcement happened, I should say, with a VMRO conference. And if you haven't heard, it'll be held in Kelowna next October, 6th through 10th. Get on board with it if you can. Kelowna is a great location, and it's going to be an awesome event. So, and there's another one in the States right after that in November. So if you get a chance to, get onto Vertical Mag, get in touch with the guys at MHM, and there's more details to be had on that. So kind of leads us right into our next guest here. Last couple of conversations we've been having on our podcast here is the AMEs and the lack thereof, or the diminishing amount that are due to the high retirement rate. So on that note, let me introduce you to a fine young gentleman here that's kind of educating the young minds and molding the young minds to kind of get them prepped up and ready to become an AME. We're going to get right into this, folks, here. So ladies and gents, please welcome Tristan Beddoe from Southern Alberta Institute of Technology, otherwise known as SAIT. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, Val. Appreciate you having me on the show, and I'm an avid listener of the MRO podcast, and a big fan of what you're doing here and putting stuff out there for everyone to listen to in the industry.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you telling me that. Like I was complimenting Tristan here on the background here. He came prepared with a full-on helicopter background. And he tells me that's just regular everyday occurrence. I love it.
Yeah, no, this is one of our helicopter labs here at SAIT. We have, within the classroom, a helicopter, full Robinson 22 and our H-125 or A-Star pylon, a whole bunch of training aids here that we familiarize all our students with and get them inducted to the helicopter world.
Nicely done. Way to set the hook into the fish, buddy. I love it.
Yeah, right?
Before we kind of get rolling into this there, Tristan, I just wanted to kind of just get everybody introduced here. So I've done that, but I also want to kind of get everybody a little bit of a background on yourself, if you don't mind. Just tell us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, well, I'm approaching 20 years in the business. Started out actually in this very classroom. I'm a SAIT alumni. I graduated from the program here. When I left the facility, I went up to Northern Alberta, joined Airborne Energy, and chased Robinson 22s and 44s and changed plugs and time mags, and worked in the field for a little while. Then went to Eagle Copters. Actually, after that, I got a a bit of a bug put in my ear by a good friend of mine, Chris Oakton. He said, go work on Bell Mediums. You'll have a great time with that. So I quickly realized that and joined up with Eagle, and I was there for, I think in total I was there almost 15 years.
Okay.
I spent some time outside of Eagle, in between a couple of stints there, and worked at remote helicopters, the Jeff Lucan there.
Okay.
And then Coldstream helicopters, Chase 212s on fires, did some seismic stuff, and went back to Eagle, and you know what? I had a great run at Eagle. I ended up joining the commercial group there and got to see the finance side of the business and got to learn the dollars and cents in helicopters. So my career spanned a breadth of different roles, and been able to see the world and see the finance side, the mechanics side, and lastly, I ended up here because we were short of people, and I wanted to help grow that human capital. So I like to say that I went to the headwaters of human capital to try to get people in.
Yeah.
So I've been here at SAIT for about a year. I'm an instructor. I teach a multitude of courses, actually, anywhere between electronics courses, helicopter courses, standard practices, a lot of different things. So I spend my time in a bunch of different areas, but mainly focus on the helicopter side.
Well done, sir. And just so that our listeners know, SAIT is located in?
We're in Calgary.
There you go.
In Calgary. And you know what? Our facility is actually positioned right on the YYC airport.
Nice.
So we have a hangar here. We have 7 helicopters. We have a couple of Challenger jets. We have a King Air. We have a Citation jet, a Cessna 172, a Navajo. We have a ton of working airplanes and helicopters. So
Sure.
It's a fantastic facility. It's the facility I graduated from. It's 20 years old now. They opened it in 2004, and we just celebrated that 20th anniversary this year. So it's pretty neat just coming back, and it gives me a little bit of street cred with the kids when I tell them I was in your seat and I sat where you're sitting right now, and tell them my story and say, don't limit yourself. Don't think that the industry is not going to give you a lot, because it's something that can take you all over the world, and you get paid to do it.
Man, I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of been the theme of what I've been trying to kind of put across. And a lot of my guests echoed the exact thing as well, too, when it comes to talking about what this career kind of gets you into, especially with it, whether you're an AME or AMP. If my Southern listeners are having an understanding there with it, with an AME license, you literally can go anywhere in the world and enjoy the sights of it, plus do your job in it. So
absolutely,
good job on bringing that back to that, and good job on kind of returning what you learned as well, too, sir. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Trying to sell it. I'm trying to sell it.
No, you're doing well. Like I said, there's a couple of good folks that spoke pretty highly about you. So Tristan and I got introduced via the email, of course, there, and kind of John, who is the John Gray from Hangar Z fame there, was able to kind of connect us here. And I think this is going to be an exciting podcast, because a lot of our listeners and are seasoned techs, but there are some listeners that come right out of high school, and sometimes don't know what a helicopter engineer does or what can kind of be in the lineup of it. How would you describe the profession to someone who doesn't know anything about it? What would be kind of your layman's terms or the attraction to it?
We kind of got to break it down a little bit. There's so many different ways to go in the helicopter world. Whether you're going to do fixed-based operations, field operations, or whether you want to do major repairs and overhauls. So it's at the end of the day, to layman terms, you're fixing helicopters, but depending on where you go with it, you could be out in the field on seismic job. You could be fighting fires, but you're there to keep the aircraft flying. If the aircraft is not flying, it's not making money. And if it's not making money, you're not going to get paid. So you're there as that maintainer to ensure that the aircraft is serviceable and you're up to date on all your inspections. And at the end of the day, the mechanic is the guy. The pilots, love the pilots, highly trained individuals, and I got a ton of respect for them. And the respect goes both ways. I've worked with tons of pilots that are very appreciative of their mechanics, and they recognize the role that we play. And that role is effectively maintaining a safety sensitive piece of machine and ensuring that, you're safe to fly at the end of the day. So, I talk about the different avenues, whether you want to go to the field and go chase a helicopter all over the world, or whether you want to be at home every day and work in the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. There's avenues where you can work for helicopter operators that, like Stars, where you have a base that aircraft returns to every day.
Yeah.
So there's a multitude of avenues to go down when it comes to the helicopter industry, and that just needs to be highlighted to people wanting to get in. Where do you want to go? What do you see yourself doing? What excites you?
Yeah.
The travel portion for me was exciting. My first job at Airborne, I went straight up to Northern Alberta. I was in High Level, Rainbow Lake, Fort St. John, up at gas plants, and it was exciting. It was fun, and when you're out there, you don't spend money, so you basically
you make it.
Yeah, you make it, and then depending on the rotation you're on, you could do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So you're working on a schedule like that, and you can sort of plan for that. It's a great time. So it's an adventure. If that's what someone's looking for, it's right up your alley.
Agreed. And there's you mentioned quite a few, like with Airborne Energy, massive fleet now. By the way, they've got a pretty decent sized fleet. And I know that they're kind of broken down a little bit. They've rebounded well. Stars, I got to give a shout out to my boy Dwight, who's the DOM up there. I know Dwight from a personal level.
Yeah.
Him and JJ, they run a pretty good ship over there. So congrats to the Stars crew, because I know it's not always been easy, and they've gone through some flight rotations or aircraft rotations out there. But to your point there, like you said, it can be as exciting or as regular as you want it to be. If you wanted to even work in the police force, you can become an AME on the police side, on the police force side. You can become,
absolutely.
You go into the air medevac. You can go into the oil and gas. You can go into tourism. I know of a few folks that fly the old MD-500s for tuna boat operators, and they have to fly with an engineer out there so they can go tuna spotting, right? So there's a lot of people like, oh, what is a helicopter application? It can't be too little. I'm like, no, you got to think there's a ton of commercial, even more so in the military. And you go law enforcement, and it's just there's a plethora of choices.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go, and just trying to highlight it that it's not just a guy sitting in the middle of a camp with a helicopter. There's so many other ways that you can go.
And so when you're into the AME course there, you will learn the basics of a lot of different sides of the aircraft. Everything from the sheet metal to the structure to the turbine to the power plant to the transmission to the blades themselves and stuff like that. So there's a flavor for everyone. And I want to kind of get your take on that as well too. So how do you feed that ding moment with the kid all of a sudden when he sees that? He's like, oh, okay, that's actually for me. If you don't want to be stuck in a hellhole, maybe somebody wants to do the avionics, the finer side of work.
Thank you to our sponsor, Rotorcraft Repair and Manufacturing, manufacturer of DSX, Dragon Skin Extreme, an FFA-approved rotor blade leading-edge erosion corrosion protective coating with a proven record of durability in harsh environments like sand and rain. Contact Seth at rotorcraft.biz and stop wasting money on other so-called erosion coatings.
We do a lot of different work in the helicopter shop where we actually get into the component side of it. So we disassemble Jet Ranger gearboxes.
Yeah.
And at that time, I highlight that as a career path. Like, hey guys, if you want to do component work, like this is something that there's a dedicated component specialist. There are specific courses to go down the avenue to repair these components. And we have a Bell Medium gearbox, and we have a Sikorsky gearbox. And I show them those, like these things go in for overhaul at set schedules. And there's a highly trained individual that takes these all down, inspects them, replaces the time life pieces, and builds it back up and turns out a product. So it is another line of business that they can get into if they don't want to go do the field ops. And to be honest with you, it's another business line in the helicopter world that is short of people. The component techs are hard to come across. It's a different pace, but yeah. So whether the avionics side of it, we have a dedicated avionics course here at SAIT, and I try to get in touch with those students. I don't teach a lot of the avionics students. I'm focused more so on the maintenance side, but I do spend time getting into their classrooms and highlighting the avenue of helicopters. And I try to bring up, we have an aging fleet of helicopters out there, and they have steam gauges in them. They're old helicopters, but they're still great helicopters. They're a renewable asset. You could put new gearboxes in, put new blades on. You could put new engine in there, overhauled engine. And while you're upgrading all these components, there's a big push in the industry right now to upgrade avionics. Alpine Aerotech has a glass cockpit STC for the 212.
Yep.
There's, Eagle Copters has done some phenomenal installations with Garmin equipment on their 212 singles.
Yep.
And so renewing these types of helicopters is actually giving them a second life in that they're now becoming more relevant to customers, more updated. You're getting ADS-B in there. You're getting, we have cameras on some of the helicopters out there. Eagle did the Calgary Police Service helicopter. So a lot of engineering going into retrofitting these aircraft and bringing them to a more current avionics suite. So it's an avenue for those avionics folks to really look at.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a number of companies out there that are working on STCs to build up different packages. And with the Garmin equipment that they have out there nowadays, it's you can build anything.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
A lot of it's plug and play, but you need the expert to plug it still.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And it's giving a new life to a lot of these older helicopters when you're installing these avionics kits in them.
If not a third or fourth life, because a lot of people tend to forget that a lot of these airframes are 40, 50, 60 years old.
Yeah.
When you're getting into the older fleet, Bell fleet models like the 212, I think I had one of my guests back tell me that he considered the 212 the square body Chevy of the industry.
Absolutely.
Just dependable, take an absolute shit kicking, but come back for more.
I had firsthand experience on seeing stuff come into to our doors at Eagle, and you're flabbergasted at how is this thing still flying? Like they are robust.
That's
phenomenal.
That's the common phrase. Yes, robust.
Yeah. So we turn those back around and turn out a great product, and it was always fun. I really enjoyed my time at Eagle, and it was a great place to cut my teeth. And you know what, to speak to that, field operations versus MRO operations, where the field operations, you're consistently keeping the aircraft flying, but when you get into an MRO environment, you are on the tools every day.
Yeah.
You're working your hands every day, and not diminishing the field operations whatsoever, but when you're on your tools every day, you're getting your new skills. You're developing skills, watching people do stuff around you. Like, hey, I never knew you could do that. I've learned a ton of tricks over the years working in an MRO facility. A lot of companies are, they get into doing a 5-year, 5,000 hour on their Bell medium,
mm-hmm.
and they start getting into it. The mechanics love doing that. It's a day in, day out, for 6-8 week period where they take the aircraft down, pull the fuel cells out, have a look around. It's a different environment from the operational side, and it really does fine tune the skills. So I do push a little bit to get students looking at MRO environments like Alpine Aerotech,
mm-hmm.
Heli One,
mm-hmm.
Eagle, any
mm-hmm.
of the big MROs where you could be in there every day working on something.
And that's just the north side of the border there. Jeff, I know pretty well over the Aerotech side.
Yeah.
His crew is pretty snap on. Like he's got a very, very good crew there, both the Aerotech and the helicopter side. Eagle Copters, Michael Riley down. I know everybody there well, to the point where I know that if it's coming from there, it's a well-built aircraft.
Absolutely.
One, no difference. You know what I mean? Like this again, this is only on the north side of the border. In the States, probably has another 4 or 5 more. We can kind of rattle off all the same, but
100%.
To your point, team really kind of focuses on learning, culture, and quality. So it's kudos to you. They listen. We're a show of shout outs there. So if you got a quick shout it out to anybody you need to that's listening right now.
All right. Well, like I said, Chris Oakton, when I was an apprentice, he pushed me to get into the Bell medium world and said, go work on a 205 or a 212. And I did. And that it was a conversation in Rainbow Lake, and I appreciate him pushing me on that one, and
nice.
Changed my career path. So
nice. Always appreciate a good shout out, brother. That's kind of, it's one of the themes of our show.
That's awesome. I like it.
The one thing that we'll always, when this endeavor started of this podcast, the major theme that I always wanted to kind of always tell is the cool stories of the individuals in our industry, because there is a tribal knowledge passing down and sometimes a lack thereof. And I think that's what's kind of brought us to this point, is the fact that there isn't enough of that knowledge being handed down or enough of being picked up. So if anytime we can do a quick shout out, we're going to do it. So
yeah,
we're going to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The tribal knowledge thing is huge. When I was an apprentice at HeliCASTS, I had Doug Mackey, Transwest.
Yes. Yeah.
Doug Mackey spent a lot of time with me, just trying to walk me through the Bell medium. This is when I left Airborne and went to Eagle, and that's where I met Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug took me under his wing, and he spent a lot of time trying to teach somebody how to do a job. It wasn't like, here, take this out, take that out. It's like, well, you're taking this part out, and this part does this for the helicopter, and spent the time to actually really train someone, and it resounded really, really well with me. And I really appreciate that tribal knowledge getting passed on. And as a lead hand at Eagle and out in the field, when I was working with Coldstream, we'd have apprentices. You spend the time to really train them, and I think there needs to be an emphasis with the operators to really push their engineers to train some of these apprentices. And everybody seems to. Well, I should say everybody. There's always always an apprentice. Put them in a truck, drive that part up there, drive that part there. I mean, it's part of the rite of passage, right? As an apprentice, you're going to do these things. But
low man on the pole.
But the engineers that are out there, licensed guys, they need to recognize that this shortage is going to continue, and they're going to have to work their bags off. Until we still get more people, and getting more people means training more people. So if you have an apprentice with you, work to train them, work to explain to them what's going on, and really hone their skills and teach them what you know. Yeah, it'll be a challenge for a few years, but I want to emphasize with the operators and the MRO guys out there, if you got apprentices, make sure your engineers are really looking at the progression of the apprentices and how are they doing? Where do they need to improve on? Identify their strengths, identify their weaknesses, and really try to hone these people, because they're going to be the key to the success in the helicopter world going forward.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I know there's been a couple. I think there's a bit of a culture change now. Even like there's still low man on pole type of attitude to the AMEs and AMPs that are out there. But at the same time, there's more of a embracing. Like I think Faith Ortega, one of my first guests, kind of talked about it. She being a female in the industry and being kind of, welcomed with open arms on a lot of stuff there too. So it's, I think there's a bit of a culture shift where the older designates are probably recognizing like, this job is going to get really tough unless we start bringing in some new blood here. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to try to panel this at the VMRO conference there, where we're going to have old school versus new school. So this will be an interesting conversation. It'll be a beautiful melting plate to kind of talk about this. And I think there's a shift. I think there's a shift.
I'm not sure where I fall in, to be honest with you. If I'm old school or if I'm new school, I'm sort of mid school. I mean, I'm 41 now, so I've been in the industry. I call it 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I fall. If old school or new school or mid school, or because some of the guys that were still working out there, 55, 60 years old. And to be honest with you, these guys are saying, this is the best money I've ever made in my career. And I'm at the end of it. Like, why did it take so long?
Yeah. Well, Tristan, I'll do this. Since I'm playing Switzerland, if I have to mediate it, you'll co-mediate it with me, buddy. We're going to be the Switzerland group.
All right, perfect. I'll play devil's advocate anytime.
Nice. I know this was talked about here, and I know, again, jumping back to Faith, when she was on our show, she talked a little bit about how her dad was into just being a mechanic, just being a wrench turner. When it comes to becoming a helicopter mechanic, how does that differ, say, than working from an auto body shop, and you need specific skills to work in the aviation? Is there a lot of crossover? Or is it just somebody that's mechanically inclined that's kind of easier to teach or show?
Well, there's a ton of crossover there. A guy goes to take a transmission out of a car. He knows he's got to get it on the jack. He's got to get the drive shaft out. He's got to get, a series of bolts out to get that thing out. And at the end of the day, he's going to be reading a manual and he's going to be looking at a process for it. And that's the fundamentals of aircraft maintenance is reading that manual, understanding what you're doing, where the limitations are, and being able to key in on the specific process on the sequence of events.
Right. So
there's a ton of crossover. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised to see in the future that there's auto mechanics shifting into aviation and trying to attract some of the auto mechanics into our worlds, because
you're not wrong.
No, yeah.
I think there was I just got a message yesterday from Maddie. Big shout out to Maddie over at MHM. We were doing an earbuds and I think an Apple Watch giveaway. And I think one of the guys that won the earbuds was a former auto mechanic making the transition.
Amazing.
So that's kind of right on point. Right on point.
Amazing. I'd be curious to know how he made that transition, whether it was through a typical apprenticeship or if he went to school and did his initial training to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I'd say we do a 2-year training program, but there are avenues within Canada that you can do a typical apprenticeship where you work for a period of time, you go to school, work, and go to school. So
yes, there seems to be more and more of that happening there. And if you're even contemplating becoming an AME, so long as you have the mechanical inclination, you will get an offer to apprentice at the facility, so long as you give them X amount of years after you're done your schooling and stuff like that. That seems to be the general theme. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, they're signing them up on an apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship board in Alberta, and this is for other trades, not for aviation, but you pay your school fee, and if you achieve a certain mark, they give you half of that school fee back. So
wow.
It costs you half as much to go to school if you're successful with your grades and continue on to the next year.
That's a great incentive.
So there's great incentives. Yeah, there is. Absolutely. So we're actually exploring an aviation apprenticeship program here at SAIT. We had a town hall meeting online a couple days ago, and we had industry weigh in on how they would see that and how that would work for them. We can't drive that conversation with the Alberta industry training, but it needs to be the industry that goes to the Alberta industry training and say, we want to see this. And then SAIT can start looking at that as a pathway. So it would be a typical apprenticeship where you go to school and then you get a job, get sponsored, you go to school, work, school. Mm-hmm. It provides an easier avenue for people to get into the industry as opposed to taking 2 years of their life and dedicating it to school.
Right.
So it's just, we're trying to look at opening up a different avenue for getting more people into, whether it's fixed wing or helicopters, just more people into aviation. So
do you think, I may be getting ahead of myself here a little bit here, but do you think the past qualifications is coming back to kind of haunt us as an aviation industry to kind of, because it wasn't easy in the past. And I think now that not that I'm saying that it's easy now, but do we think that maybe that has come back to kind of haunt us a little bit there, just because maybe the perception of it was that of so much difficulty that was it worth it getting into? Do you think that's kind of come back now, or do we kind of just now are just shedding the light on the fact that there is a high retirement rate and there is a we're then after, again, I hate dropping this kind of reference, but after COVID, where did everybody go?
Everybody that could stay home just decided to stay home.
Yeah,
they didn't want to come back. And that's fine. They earned their retirement, and I wish them well. But to be honest with you, there hasn't been a lot of people getting into the aviation industry for a long time. SAIT's ramped up significantly in our intakes. This fall we had the most number of students in our facility at any point in time, and we run 12 months a year. We have three semesters throughout the year, so we teach through the summer. So we're max capacity for this facility now. So Excellent. We've actually grown to the point where we don't have any more room to put students. So it's phenomenal. It's great. And
that's awesome.
Hired on a ton of faculty, great subject matter experts. We've got guys on staff that are endorsed on Dreamliners. We got guys who are endorsed on all types of helicopters. We've got guys endorsed on float planes, fixed wing. So we're trying to put out a lot of people, but at the end of the day, what we put out is a drop in the bucket for what we need to replace the number of people getting out. Yeah.
Fair statement for yourself. Let's put the train back on the tracks here. So I kind of drifted off a little bit here. So say a student signs up and he or she now jumps into the AME program. What can they expect to see and do in month one of the class?
Oh, month one, man. So, one of the best first year courses that I teach is reciprocating engine theory and the lab. And what we do there is we basically go through the auto cycle, looking at 4 strokes. We have the students go into our engine lab. It's for me, it's one of the premier labs. It's an engine lab with we now have 28 O320 Lycoming engines, and a group of 4 students get assigned an engine. It's fully complete, and they are to tear that engine completely down using the manuals, pull all the cylinders off, open the crankcase, pull the crank out. They're to disassemble that complete engine, full measurements on everything using micrometers, V-blocks, and dial indicators. And then they reassemble that engine. And we have 2 test cells here. And the students actually install their engine that they have just taken apart, put back together, install it in the test cell, and they run it. So that's first year. So you throw them right into it and get them right into it right off the bat. Along with that, we have some hand skill courses where we're working on, basics, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, working on torque.
Right.
Believe it or not, we do a course where we're doing precision filing. So we have them mold a block into a certain shape. For the sheet metal guys, they do a bucking bar. For the avionics guys, they do a drill gauge. And then the maintenance guys, they do the drill gauge as well, but little bit of a different size. But they're to use, flat mill files, get it to a specific size. They got to cut some ends off. So it's basic hand skills to get them into, how does my arm work when I cut? How do I righty-tighty, lefty-loose?
The kinetics of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and just getting them familiar with tools and getting them used to using their hands. Some of the kids that we get into the program here have rarely picked up a hammer. So it's, we're starting fairly low, but as they go through the semesters, we bring them up and up and up, and they start to really get it. So I've seen some great transformation in the time that I've been here, watched some students go through the program, and at the end of it, very strong candidates that I'd put on my reference list.
You get them as green as to never having picked up a tool before.
Some of them, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's talk about craving the thirst and kind of feeding the thirst, especially if you have somebody that's never picked up a tool before.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you want to get into helicopters and they turn away an AME after X amount of years in the program. Congratulations.
Thank you to our sponsor, Bell. Bell proudly supports the Vertical MRO Podcast and their vision to share valuable insights into helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Bell is dedicated to keeping our customers in the sky and on their missions with industry-leading global customer solutions.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process. So, you really got to get them excited about the industry. So I spend a lot of time talking about what's happening in the industry, whether it's fixed wing, who's making deals, what's going on with this company, who's flying where. Get them excited about, what could I do? Maybe where would I end up? How would I fit into this? And really, really pose the questions to them. What do you want to do? What do you want to get out of this? I mean, you're going to spend 2 years in this program. Where are you going to go after this? And some of them at the end of the program, they're like, I really don't know what I want to do. And it's unfortunate, but, it isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of success rate coming out of here, and a lot of students end up going right out into industry. Some of our students between the first and second year, they wind up with jobs working their 4-month break. So whether they got a 4-month break from, January to end of April, they go out there and they get a job, they get indoctrinated to the industry, and then they come back a stronger student in the second year, having been exposed to the industry.
I know we spoke about that with a couple of our guests there, especially when you become an AME and you're certified, say you're on a contract, or if you're just kind of rolling and depending on what your shift setup is, some people might take that 4 months off, 5 months off, truck off to the other side of the world, turn wrench out there to kind of see what it's like out there, but at the same time, gain that experience and bring it back to them. So I'm glad that's kind of almost a bit of a cultural thing there too now in the schooling as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We do our best to try to get our students in touch with the employers. We have a program advisory committee that consists of a number of different companies across Canada that weigh in on the program and help us. The industry is our customer at the end of the day, and our product is our students. And so coordinating with the industry through that program advisory committee allows us to get that feedback on our product. Where do our students land when they hit your facility? Where do we need to improve on them? Where are we doing really well so we can keep doing that? So it's a great coordination between the industry and SAIT. So really trying to make sure that we keep in touch with the industry and that they have feedback for us on our students, and we want them to get jobs at the end of the day. We're here every day to try to train these folks and get them out there so that we can keep aircraft flying. Like I said at the start, if the aircraft's not flying, we're not making money.
Agreed.
If we're not making money, we got a problem.
I know my present employer right now, shout out to Essential Turbines.
There you go.
They visit the local schools there in and throughout Montreal and in Vancouver now too, with Langley areas, to kind of go and see, which one of the students are top performers, to potentially look at, saying, hey, when you come out of it, come see us. Does that happen a lot with yourself? Do you find either operators? Do you find turbine shops? Do you find fixed wing as well? Do they come out to you as well to kind of say, hey, give us your cream of your crop?
Yeah, we do. We have a career fair here. We host a career fair close to the end of the semesters.
Nice.
And we have all of the local operators. Alpine Helicopters was here. We had WestJet, Air Canada.
Did you get a visit from Scotty Hayward?
No. It was the guys at Canmore.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
But yeah, no, I had those guys come out, and you know what? They hired one of our students between first and second year, and she's worked out phenomenal. She'll be great engineer out there when she hits the ground running, and she actually graduates next month. So she's excited to get out there and get back with Alpine and get going on the rest of her career. So
great organization, great crew.
Yeah,
I consider them all friends. If Scott is listening, he was a past guest. Still one of the best answers on my pineapple pizza thing, which I don't agree with. But that's good solid crew. Good, like between Canmore and Kelowna there, like you said, you're in God's country there too. You're up in the mountains, so good on them.
Yeah,
good on them. So I'm glad that they're coming to you here. Like I said, I know.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
That's good.
Absolutely. And we do our best to check the job boards and look for any postings. We put that stuff up in our main hall for students to see in case they're not looking actively for it. We post up any of the job offerings that we come across. So we got a team of people in the admin staff that are consistently looking for that stuff. And then when they find something, they post it up, and hopefully a student catches their eye on it, throws a resume in, and away they go. So
Nice. I know we've spoken about it, but let's elaborate a little more here. When we're facing a shortage of helicopter AMEs and AMPs, there's a lot of short-term good opportunity out there. How would you describe the long-term stability of the profession? Are you optimistic about the AMEs, and is there going to be a high enough demand for several decades into the future? Do you foresee it?
Our shortage right now is tough. It's crippling for some people. I know there were helicopters parked this summer just from a lack of shortage of mechanics and pilots.
Right in high fire season too. That's a bad formula.
Yeah, it is tough. It is really tough. Long-term wise, it's, I said at the start, this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint, but I think there's a lot of interest in the industry to, correct this. And as long as everybody continues to really push on that training aspect and really, passing along that tribal knowledge and really emphasizing that organizations are interested in the growth of their workforce, and not only the apprentices, but looking at the engineers that they have and providing that incentive to the engineers that, hey, listen, we're bringing on more apprentices. I need you to train these guys. This is what I want to do for you. What do you like doing? Where do you want to be in the future with us? How does that relationship work with your workforce? Because at the end of the day, a guy can get a job offer at the next company next door, and they might pay him, $20 more a day and up the flight pay. But the culture and the commitment to an organization might outweigh that next highest dollar offer, right?
Great point.
It's cutthroat. You get a lot of people who are, I pay the best, I got the best schedule. But if your environment isn't quite right, you're going to get that turnover. So it's a key element of any organization is to really key in on your people. And if you key in on your people and support them and really show an interest in their growth, then you'll retain those people. And as you bring more people on, you'll grow that workforce. It'll continue to roll up, and it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So keeping on with where we're going with this is long term, we're going to be in a good spot. There's more and more interest in aviation. Alberta's got a huge investment into aviation. De Havilland is in town here in Calgary. So there's a lot of the government's looking at aviation and how we can increase that training and really bring up that workforce. So I think we'll be in good shape, but we just got to keep going on it. Keep involving the industry, keep involving the government, making sure that there's incentives for people to join.
Agreed. Tristan, you brought up a great point there when it comes to people and retention. And like you're right, in an industry when it's hot and it's it's fire out there, that you're going to be offered more dollars to kind of jump in with another company. But what's that worth to you? With like even your mental stability? Are you getting into a company that's going to be looking after you as much as you're going to be looking after them? Right? It's all things to kind of contemplate. Not saying that that's not for everybody, but you need to give it a serious thought of a pros and cons of if I jump, I might make a couple bucks more, but what's that couple bucks more worth to me on a different side outside of my wallet? So good point. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. I know. And right now we're in a little bit of a crunch. I'm not necessarily hit the panic button just yet, but we're critical, and I'm glad we're addressing it. So it's been a hot topic of a lot of conversations, even, and you can even go into the material side of the world if you decide to kind of jump in on that side of the world and become an engineer on the material development or whatever career you kind of want to go down, whether it's fixed or rotor. That's also probably a shortage in that level the same. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for kind of bringing that to the forefront of that conversation.
Yeah, working hard to try to get more people in here, man. I'm working on selling it, getting that human capital going.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? The return on is that you get a younger crew out there that's going to be kind of, and we've talked about this in the past. Their learning techniques are different than per se when you were learning about it and when I was learning things about it. It's like their abilities now to kind of pick up their phone and pick up any snippet of information is almost immediate. Like my wife always laughs about it too, because she's got a master's degree in science and stuff like that. She goes, I have to go to libraries. It's, what I mean? It's that, but now it's just like, it's a click away.
Yeah. I mean, there's a term in Webster's dictionary, Google it now, right? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So, we've got just Google that, so it's, the new generation is learning very differently. We do a lot of our teaching online.
Yes.
Not virtually online, but all of our content is online and available to the students, and they can access it through their phones. So it's all available to them. And so, we see our students in the classrooms with their phones in their hand, and you kind of got to be like, what are you doing on your phone? And it's, I'm looking at the lab process here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I get that. You just don't want a student sitting there on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. But
Snapchat.
So
we're too old now. Yeah. It's Snap now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's that balance too. So, we've actually, funny enough, we talk about learning techniques. We're actually looking at augmented reality and how that plays into aircraft maintenance. Yep. So, augmented reality is the next thing that's coming down the line. And so we're going to try to be at the forefront of how we expose students to that avenue. And it'll be a phenomenal way to train. You put on a set of lenses, or you have your camera on your phone, and it basically gives you a 3D exploded view of it. Future state. The way I see it is you put a set of lenses on, you walk up to an aircraft, it identifies the aircraft and shows you the service points, and effectively can train you virtually by overlaying this is the access to the engine here. You open that up, and then the camera on the augmented reality lenses recognizes the engine and highlights the points of, this is your chip plug. This is, oil sight gauge, identify the level of the oil. And to train somebody, it's not me walking around with somebody saying, this is this is this. It's here.
Right.
Put these set of lenses on, have a walk around the aircraft. This is going to walk you through a daily inspection. And, it's really interesting. It's really neat. Augmented reality is going to be the next step.
It's the wave of the future, my friend. It's been a conversation point. Again, I keep referencing past shows when we had the AI panel and having that augmented reality headpiece on you while you're staring at the aircraft, and it tells you this component's going to time out at this part. This one's nearing this part. This one's, it's crazy. And I think we even kind of touched base on it a little bit at the European Rotor Show, when you're going to be walking that fine line, man. Like, it's a fine line. Now you're counting on technology to be as accurate as possible, because now, what if you're past the life cycle? What if you're past or, approaching, or what if you're nowhere near the past cycle? If it wasn't, if the data wasn't uploaded, it just goes right back into what the data fed will be the data result. So
you're absolutely right. And that plays into our day-to-day operation today. It's, your maintenance tracking system.
Agreed.
You have to have someone audit that from the human perspective, to really drill down and look at that. So I'm sure there'll be ways to mitigate some of the risk, but to be honest with you, I see it as a phenomenal training tool.
Agreed.
Something that can supplement. You onboard an apprentice and you say, well, this set of glasses is going to walk you through a DI, and we're going to show you how to do that. So it's really exciting. It's really cool. I think, it's a matter of making the 3D models and then getting everything set up. I think Bell Helicopters has the 505 already 3D model because they built that in CAD. So I'm sure the guys over at Bell, I'm sure, are just chomping at the bit to get their augmented reality. I'm sure they've already got it somehow or another.
Yeah. Well, the part that I'm more than pleased about is the fact that we're talking about it. It's a conversation point, probably not even recognized about 5 years ago, but here we are today talking about what ifs. And if we're talking about the what ifs, there's bigger brain people out there than you and I, and that's not disrespectful to your words. It's just bigger brain people. You and I are going, that's already been done. It's already in the works. I'm hoping that's the case.
Right?
I'm absolutely hoping that's the case. And this way we kind of go like, oh, I remember talking about this. Well, yeah, we developed it. So,
well, what if we could bring a rocket from outer space and catch it in the air?
Right. Right. And I had to do a triple check to see if that wasn't CGI. That was mind blowing to me.
Absolutely wild.
Back to an AME, and this is kind of like, as I've always kind of referred back to my coaching there. I coach football here locally, but let's talk a little bit about the kind of personality it takes to make a good AME. What do the students need to what kind of attitude? What do they need to bring to the table? Do you recognize a level of aptitude? Is there professionalism and attention to detail? How are you able to kind of have them adjust a little bit of their life to what's about to happen to their life?
One of the biggest things.
Are they coachable? I think. Sorry, I jumped in there. Yeah.
No, it's all good. Process is a huge thing for any aircraft maintenance engineer or avionics engineer or structures engineer. Anything to do with aviation is extremely process oriented. So having students, we have checklists that we walk through for different labs, and really highlighting that you need to follow each step and don't skip the next step to the next step without having completed this. You could read through all the steps beforehand, familiarize yourself with the process, but go through each step. One of the biggest things that we try to work on is, I notice a lot of students will skim a manual looking for a trigger word without having actually read everything. So it's read every single word. Read it 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it takes, until you understand exactly what that, process or chapter or paragraph is telling you.
Yeah.
Like, read through it slowly and get to it. So, slowing down, getting into process oriented, being excited about the industry is critical. I mean, if you're not excited about getting into aviation, and looking at the avenues while you're here, It's going to be tough when you graduate to really find something that's going to make you excited. And to be honest with you, one of the biggest things is staying off your phone, showing up on time, and just being here. With our program, we have 1,800 hours in the maintenance program. We require, Transport Canada requires them to be in attendance for 95% of that.
Okay.
And in order to meet their accreditation. So they do 4 semesters spread across 2 years. And if they are outside of that 95% attendance, they don't reach the Transport Canada accreditation, which provides them an 18-month credit towards their apprenticeship. So they spend 2 years here. And then once they leave our facility, if they've met the accreditation, which is attendance, and then there is marks, a grade point that they need to maintain 70% average.
Mm-hmm.
And when they leave here, they've got that 18-month credit towards their apprenticeship. So they've got 30 months left in their apprenticeship when they leave our program.
Gotcha.
So attendance is huge. And showing up on time, have your tools in your hand, hands out of your pockets, just really trying to get them engaged with, like, yes, this is a school, but it's a work environment.
Yeah.
Show up ready to work. Have your stuff completed if it's been asked of you. Take it professionally here. So a lot of the students that really work hard at that are extremely successful when they get out of here.
The devil's in the details. When you're jumping into this career, you're maintaining things that are flying. Just let that phrase alone be of some weight to you, right? So there's stuff flying, and you're going to be generally on a responsible level of being accountable to it. And just, like you said, it's not, yes, you're in a school, and yes, you are learning things, but at the same time, I'll reemphasize what you just said there, Tristan. It is still a working environment. It's a working environment that you're having to learn your trade. And the instructors that are teaching you there are to emphasize the quality of what you're turning out depends upon the effort that you put into it. Your name's all over it. That's we're always taught at a young age, your word is your bond and your name is your bond.
Yep.
This is the career that's going to basically put you there.
The Vertical MRO Podcast is powered by Vertical Magazine, the rotorcraft industry's #1 trusted multimedia resource. Visit Vertical Mag Media on YouTube to gain access to exclusive videos featuring operators in the field and more unique content from the pages of Vertical. Subscribe today to stay informed and inspired.
And, at the end of the day, what the students are our product, and, a student that goes through my program goes out to industry, and I want them to show as well as possible. You try to teach these guys as much as you can and really hone their skills so that when they get out there, they're prepared and they have, an understanding of how the industry works. We do a job shadow here at SAIT. So we actually get students for a week period where we coordinate with industry. They go out and do a job shadow. We set it up with WestJet, Air Canada, all these guys, helicopter operators. Alpine's taken on a bunch. Eagle takes on guys. There's some guys that went up to Mustang. So we've got a lot of our students go out for this work experience, and they get a flavor for that industry. And they can go do different shifts. They can do a WestJet shift. They can do an Eagle shift. They can go to Alpine to do a shift. So they can try a few different things and see where they like it. Kind of get a bit of exposure.
And how are you not excited about big things that fly? Helicopters are fixed. Like, how are you not excited about it?
Yeah, and the stakes are high, and that does bring a little level of mentalness into it too. They're like, oh man, if I make a mistake, this is going to crash and burn. And you need to be cognizant of that.
Sure. Yep.
At the same rate, don't get paralyzed by it, and don't do your absolute best to be transparent. One of the biggest things in our facility is if you break something or something gets damaged, tell us.
Yeah.
Don't hide it, because that is not okay in the industry. Because if you go out there and you mess something up and you don't tell somebody, it can be catastrophic. So transparency is pushed really big here. Again, people make mistakes. You drop something, it happens. We're a facility where we're learning, so we understand that. If it's negligence or if it's vandalism, that's a different story. But as you go through our facility, we really want to emphasize that transparency and being open about it. Say, well, listen, I really don't understand this, and this doesn't work like this. seeking that help.
Ask the questions. Like I was taught very young in life, they're the dumbest question is the one that isn't asked. So that's
absolutely.
And when it comes to our industry, ask the questions. And again, sometimes a lot of and we'll jump back to what we were talking about, the elders in our industry. Sometimes a lot of those elders like to give that information out, but sometimes they just don't know how to present it if they're not asked for it.
Yep.
Right now, if all of a sudden a youngster that just joined, a young person that just joined the industry in the program is now apprenticing, or whether they've graduated out and their first job is, go talk to the senior leadership, go talk to the senior inspector, go talk to the senior mechanic, the lead mechanic, and say, hey, I came across this. Is there anything you can kind of share with me on how to get past it? And the chances are they'll know. And a lot of them will want to see how you process it and you deliver it, and kind of coach you along the way. So to your point, just ask that question.
Just don't leave the stone unturned.
Right.
The why is this? Why do we have to do this inspection daily? I get this, we're doing this, but why? Well, it stemmed from this happened and this happened. Right? Yeah. Like a tail rotor AD on a 212, you got to look at the tail rotor X number of hours, right? So giving someone the background on that, and that's almost the tribal knowledge side of it, and providing them the reason, and this is what happened, this is what they're doing to mitigate it. That teaching and getting into the nitty gritty of it, of why and how this works is key for for everybody, really.
Yep. As students progress in their careers, what kind of roles are available to them? I know you spoke about where you started off and you went back into the management side of it with accounting and starting to learn the numbers and the beans of it all. Are they able to progress into that management just like you did, and possibly into an academia like what you're doing with yourself, kind of coaching and teaching like yourself? Is that available to them? Is that something you'd kind of recommend to them, or just kind of have their own path, and if they feel the need to return it?
Absolutely. I mean, the sky's the limit. You show interest in wanting to do something, and it comes down to that, again, that conversation with your employer. Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? What do you want to do? What does the company want to see you do? The world's your oyster. You can go anywhere in helicopters. If you have the ability to read manuals and get into the nitty gritty of that, there could be a quality assurance pathway for you.
Yes.
If you're in the tech record side of it, if you're really good with, forecasting, you could get into that type of environment, the technical record side, asset management. If you're good at supply chain, working at, trading components, getting things moved around, that can be something that you can look at, whether it be a maintenance role, an avionics role, structures role. There's so many different avenues to go down. But there's always a ladder in each one of those.
Nice.
If you want to go the structures route and work on, being a director of maintenance at a structure shop, there's avenues to climb. Mm-hmm. If you want to be leadership, or if you want to just, if you want to be a field mechanic and work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, chase a helicopter around, man, more power to you.
Yep.
There's opportunities all over. But it takes the employer side of it to really recognize their workforce strength and really capitalize on the people that they have, and have that conversation with your workforce, is making sure that they feel like the company is looking to better you, and you'll make the company better just with that.
Yep.
So it's a two-way street on that.
And as big as as big as the aviation industry is, and the perception of it, the helicopter side, I only speak from that side because that's the predominant side that I've spent most of my career in. It's a kind of a tight-knit group. So if you build a good reputation, you put your name on things, and you've turned out a quality product, and you've been recognized for it, that goes a long way within a pretty small group of people that at the end of the day, like, he or she did a really great job. And I know if this is signed off by them, it's in a good spot. So I think, like, to your point there, it's all about what you want to kind of do, and whether you want to, like you said, if you want to go out and chase field maintenance. My buddy Shed said it, like, there's no other places in the world that you can kind of, get underneath the 212 and you're watching the Aurora Borealis dance above you at 1 or 2 in the morning up in the northern bush. But if you want to be inside the office and kind of do asset management, do you want to do contract management with particular flight hours, forecasting, that kind of stuff, it's all available to you. All available. So
absolutely. And it takes, it takes some time to learn the business and understand the mechanics of the business side of it, and get into the right place and talk to the right people and show that interest. And I'm sure along the way, you'll meet somebody that wants to teach you something about it. I was fortunate enough to have people teach me, mainly at HeliCASTS. I had some phenomenal mentors there that took me under their wing. Spike Whiting, actually, in Tennessee.
Spike,
man, that guy taught me
Spike's a beauty.
So much. That guy's phenomenal.
He's a beauty.
There we go. Yeah, and the O'Reilly family, got a shout out to them. They run a great operation there. It's they're coming up on 50 years right away here.
Yep.
So it's a big deal for them. And Bryce O'Reilly, his son, is in the shop now. He's working in the business, so that the legacy continues at Eagle, which is awesome. Great to see that. And I'm always happy to say good things about that organization. I learned a heck of a lot and had a lot of fun, and a different time for me right now, and trying to grow this human capital and trying to get people into the industry that's given me so much, and I want to share my experiences here and really try to get people excited about it, because it's very rewarding. And
Tristan,
I've had a great time.
What I recognize from you right away is the passion that you have for this industry, and I appreciate that more than a lot of people. Kind of I see it, and I appreciate you kind of having that passion. I know this is an industry where you kind of need that passion in order to kind of keep that up and running. So thanks for kind of what you're doing there and kind of molding the young minds in there. I know you can speak, on behalf of SAIT, but if someone's not particularly in the Southern Alberta region, even if they're at the NAIT area, or if they're in BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, even the Maritimes, if you can speak to anybody that's kind of on the fence a little bit, whether they kind of do or don't want to enter this profession, what would you say? Is there a final message you'd kind of like to share with them? Like what would be your final kind of part on that one?
If you're considering getting into the aviation industry, maintenance wise, or just looking at it as a career path in general, go to a small airport, find an operator, knock on the door, find the chief pilot, find the director of maintenance, go meet somebody. The aviation community is a friendly community, and we're always looking to bring people in. And if you go knock on the door somewhere and say, hey, listen, thinking about getting into this industry, can you give me 20 minutes and give me a rundown on how this works here? And, what does it look like? The training schools all across Canada, any one of them that has an aviation program, you could walk into. I'm sure their academic chairs or any of the instructors would give you the time of day to walk you through what the program looks like and how that works. But finding someone in the industry to give you a bit of an insight on it would be helpful. So if you're considering coming into the aviation world and starting a career path, whether it be a pilot or mechanic, go check out a little operator. Go to the WestJets or Air Canada, Aeroskin Airlines in Ontario. If you want to go check them out, you go anywhere really. Just find an operator. Someone will take the time. We're crying for people. People will make time to give you a lowdown on what to expect, and it's only going to become more rewarding as the years go on here. So it's
nice.
We're going in the right direction, but it's, like I said, it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint here.
Well, you've kind of generalized that right across the country here, even to the people that are listening in the U.S. Same thing, same application. Go to find an FBO, find an operator, find someone that you can kind of go up and talk to. But right now, I'm going to give you your chance to kind of, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of, how do they contact Tristan to say, hey, listen, I'm in Southern Alberta, or even if you're Red Deer South, how do they get a hold of you and possibly look at kind of getting into the program?
Yeah, shoot me an email. I have a SAIT email. I'm sure you could put it in the notes, but shoot me an email or give the office a call here at the Art Smith Aero Center. Set up. We do tours here all the time. Prospective students that want to come in here, they come check out the facility. There's always an instructor available to walk you around, show you the facility, give you a flavor of what to expect going through the program. We do also offer a student for the day program where someone who's interested in the program could come in and apply for a student of the day. So they come in and they get assigned to a few different courses. Mm-hmm. I had a student for the day in the helicopter lab last week, and he came in and I had him taking apart a main gearbox with a group of students. So he came in and he's actually, where's he? He's from Red Deer.
Okay.
And so he came down for the day. And so he's excited. He wants to get into it. So I'll hopefully see him back in the fall. Yeah. Just, give a shout to SAIT or a local training facility and get in there and have a look around.
For the podcast portion of this world, because this will be on YouTube, so we'll try to put your email up on there, but rifle off your email for somebody that's listening to this without a visual on it.
Yeah, Tristan.Beddoe at SAIT.ca. So TRISTAN .Beddoe, BEDDOE at SAIT, SAIT.ca.
There you go. You'll be in good hands on that one, buddy. Anybody that's looking to apply, looking to kind of even inquire about anything like that, please feel free to reach out to Tristan at the same time. Know that you're going to be in a world-class program there. And if he's going to turn you into anything, he's going to turn you into an AME pro for sure. So
yeah,
we're approaching the end of it, buddy. And I appreciate your time. And I know that we're burning some good candlelight here at the same time. I appreciate kind of having your backdrop there. And I think you're the first guest that actually had the actual helicopter as far as a backdrop. So, and it's not a wallpaper. Good on you.
I figured it was a good setting to have, and I wanted to really emphasize that we're pushing hard to get quality mechanics out to the industry and get people jobs and start growing that human capital side, because it's going to be,
love it.
I don't want to see helicopters parked because there's no mechanics. That's not okay. So
we're too critical now in the particular, like in firefighting season. It's too critical, and it's we're when we're needing the quality people and we can't fly the helicopters because of that shortage. That's an eye opener. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on spreading the positivity through the education of it, and keep returning what you learn. So I tip my hat to you for that one there, buddy. Good job.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show, and
we'll try to have you back at the same time. This is my famous last question before we kind of end the Vertical MRO show. You know what it's going to be? Does pineapple belong on the pizza?
Of course not.
Yes. Yes.
Of course not. No. I go down the road to a little pizza shop just outside the airport here, Domenico's. I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah, Domenico's. I know it. Yes.
Oh man, Domenico's. Gosh, they the pizza of the month they got there. Those guys don't put pineapple on pizza.
You know what? Hey, Halsey and Quinny and even Mike Reno gave a thumbs up at the Euro Rotors. To you guys, I do this to you. I'm coming back, baby. I'm coming back.
That's awesome. Well, I got to go see the good boys at Domenico's right now.
Oh, bon appetit, my friend. Bon appetit. Bon appetit.
Right.
So to that note, ladies and gents, thanks for listening to us. And again, thanks for kind of being a part of the Vertical MRO family. Hit that subscribe button. Love to get your content. If you have any questions, hit us up. Tristan, thank you for your time and your knowledge and your wisdom. And we'll see you as the rotor turns, man. Keep in touch, please.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Val.
Cheers. Stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Rotorcraft Repair and Manufacturing, manufacturer of DSX, Dragon Skin Extreme, an FFA approved rotor blade leading edge erosion corrosion protective coating with a proven record of durability in harsh environments like sand and rain. Contact Seth at rotorcraft.biz and stop wasting money on other so-called erosion coatings. Thank you to our sponsor, Bell. Bell proudly supports the Vertical MRO Podcast and their vision to share valuable insights into helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Bell is dedicated to keeping our customers in the sky and on their missions with industry-leading global customer solutions.
The Vertical MRO Podcast is powered by Vertical Magazine, the rotorcraft industry's #1 trusted multimedia resource. Visit Vertical Mag Media on YouTube to gain access to exclusive videos featuring operators in the field and more unique content from the pages of Vertical. Subscribe today to stay informed and inspired.
As we wrap up today's conversation, Tristan, your journey from Eagle Copters to SAIT represents a powerful narrative of industry knowledge transfer. Your commitment to bringing practical experience with technical education is truly inspiring. Some key takeaways here. You made an industry impact. For sure you have. You transitioned from a VP of sales and marketing at a very successful company to an educator at SAIT. You're specializing in helicopter maintenance and technical education. You bring a comprehensive knowledge of aerospace industry to the classroom, which is well needed and well deserved. Let's talk about your professional highlights. You played a crucial role in Eagle Copter's growth, including the development of the Eagle Single, which is a very popular ship, and the 407 HP. You're experienced in multiple aircraft platforms: Bell, Sikorsky, Airbus, and Leonardo. You're recognized for innovative approaches in product support and component solutions. Well done, young man. Well done indeed. My final thoughts, Tristan, thanks for sharing your unique perspective on aerospace and helicopter education and industry evolution. Your dedication to empowering the next generation of technicians demonstrates the critical importance of practical, hands-on learning and technical training. We appreciate you joining us on this Vertical MRO podcast and look forward to seeing how your work at SAIT continues to shape the future of helicopter maintenance and aerospace education. If you like this episode, hit that like button or share it with your friends. Until next time, may your skies be blue. Keep those rotors turning. I'm Val, over and out.
This has been the Vertical MRO Podcast. Join us next time for another edition of the Vertical MRO Podcast, brought to you by Vertical HeliCASTS.